So I've been thinking about this whole having a child thing a lot lately. And the moment we realized we were pregnant, I did the very appropriate Googling. Feminist motherhood, anti-racist motherhood, queering motherhood. I was looking for anything that would help me make sense of this very new phase I am entering in my life. And I found a book, Like a Mother, a feminist journey through the science and culture of pregnancy. And I was grateful for this book because I was getting used to a whole lot of ideas about how I was supposed to do pregnancy. Is this familiar with other people who've experienced pregnancy? Yes, Anne Bowling is raising her hand. Sorry to out you, Anne. I know you're in the back row, but... So overwhelmed by the sense of moral judgment about how bodies are, I was hungry for something else. And I was finding through her research, she is a woman who was a food critic, raised in this Filipino immigrant household who found herself pregnant and then realized she had so much research to do because no one had done good feminist research on the topic of pregnancy. And she wrote a blog that went viral about the miracle and science of breast milk. And then she became committed to writing about pregnancy. And thanks to her, I know that I can drink a certain amount of coffee. Rahul, thank you. I want you to all recognize what it's been like to do 2 months of ministry without coffee. You can, if you're careful, if you know your metabolism, have a little bit of alcohol, and it turns out most women secretly do. And it turns out that women who get pregnant in Japan still eat sushi. People don't stop eating fish because you're pregnant. And I'm feeling grateful for permission to move through this journey without judgment. And I offer us an opportunity for a 3rd grade covenantal experience where you pinky swear, everyone pinky. I will not judge the bodies of pregnant people. Say it with me. I will not judge the bodies of pregnant people, especially my minister. Especially my minister. Very good. I can go back to ministry now. But certainly, as I've been doing all of my research about all the things that could go wrong while I'm pregnant, I realize that even a healthy pregnancy is life against all odds. So this story that is in our dominant culture and that some of us claim as Unitarian Universalist Christians and some of us come to because we live here and we live in this culture each year is a story about a Jewish family at a time of immense domination, trying to do life against all odds. And it's a specific birth against the powers that be. We have the client king, King Herod, in one story. We have the Emperor Augustus in another story. But we need not be narrow in our analysis about a birth. Yes, the child is a child, the birth is a birth, but it's a wonderful metaphor for all the things we do to create life. Births are anything you are doing to create and generate and nurture more life. Your art, your music, your relationships, your social movements, your justice making, your community building, all of these are births. So this story is your story too, about how you bring life against all odds. What I love about Hebrew and Christian scriptures is that it's not just about the miracle. I mean, we miss something if we make it all about the ending. But really, what these stories are actually teaching us are how to be subversive communities where miracles happen. They're actually teaching us about how we show up to get out of the way of a good miracle and to let a miracle, let life come through. So what does this story tell us? First, last week we talked about solstice. And I told you that if Solstice walked in here as a minister, she would say to you, not, how are you doing, Joe? She would say to you, my love, how are you resting? How are you caring for yourself? She would not care about your immense to-do list or probably immense homework list. She would desperately care that you are revived and fully alive, that we bless each other's rest, not just each other's work. So it's fitting in these stories that life against all odds happens because people bless the rest and dreaming of the people they love. There's a minister, Reverend Sam Chandler from the Episcopal tradition, that says, actually, these stories are all about believing the dreams of the people you say you love. In one version, Joseph listens to his own dreams at a moment when he could feel completely betrayed and cause immense harm to another human being. But instead, he rests. He sleeps. He listens to his dreams. He wakes up trusting again. And when that child is born, he commits to its total protection. Another dream tells him to flee to Egypt. Another dream tells him to return home. He fully gives his life over to something that he's not even sure is his, giving himself over to it. And in another version, the next version, it's Mary who's dreaming. I love these two stories right next to each other. Joseph dreams in one, Mary gets a daydream visitation in another. The angel comes, she listens, she trusts. And when asked, will you do this task? She says, here am I. So these are about believing each other's dreams. Perhaps starting with your own, if you have not given yourself that love in some time. My own mother, when she joined the Unitarian Universalist, actually Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside, California, that's a thing. She was a young mother, and so there were times when she would drag me to her church events. The church event that I would go to was her dream group. So a group of women from the church gathered at the only Starbucks for miles. It was a very long time ago. And in that one Starbucks, a group of women sat telling each other's dreams, taking each other's dreams seriously. And my mom began to integrate this into our home life. So little Sam, on her way to 4th grade and 3rd grade and 5th grade, upon waking from sleep, would be asked, sweetheart, did you dream last night? Which is her way of saying, I love you, when we ask each other and take each other seriously that way. Now, the other piece of these stories is not just about my dream, but about the magical quality that a dream that emerges from a people isn't exactly mine, and isn't exactly yours. But some dreams are shared dreams. They're ours. Something happens when we don't conceive of something alone, but when we co-create the dream together. 2 characters only in the story, in my opinion, have a super fixed sense of how the world should be and muscle their way to make sure things happen. King Herod and Emperor Augustus. Needless to say, they're not the heroes of these stories. The heroes of these stories are not anxious about losing power or credibility. They don't ask people to do their bidding. Instead, wise folk and shepherds and innkeepers and Egyptian hosts and Mary and Joseph themselves are each having to believe in and honor something that ultimately isn't exactly just theirs. They have to care for something bigger than themselves. They have to do something that they ultimately didn't exactly choose for themselves, but something that as a community, they became stewards of. They had to show up to a shared dream. So to be a community of life against all odds, it requires this, that we believe the dreams of each other, and that we steward the shared dream we have together. Now, this is an important message for us right now, if not obviously. I have been with you for a few months. I have been listening to you as carefully as I can. And I know that you have been stewarding the dream of a home for a very long time. And at times, this community has been a community of love and care between you, driven by the hope that someday you would have a place to call your own. And you have stayed together and somehow like each other against all odds. But here is what is next. What is the shared dream now that we've gotten there? What is the dream that is bigger than just us for that beautiful new building on Orange Grove? Can we come together around a dream that's not exactly yours, or yours, or yours, or mine, but is something that, because we come together, is bigger than any of us alone? So may we be like Mary and Joseph and that innkeeper and those shepherds and that star and those wise folk who avoid a tyrant. When asked to come forward on a shared dream, may you say, "Here am I." May we listen. May you rest these next couple weeks. May you dream, and then may we show up. Amen.